How's it going, guys and geeks? Welcome to the Geekritique Show. I'm Jen.
I'm Dakota.
And today we're going to be doing a non-spoiler review of Netflix's Lost in Space series.
Please subscribe for more videos just like this, and be sure to check out our full spoiler review if you've already checked out the show right after this.
Show me what you got.
A year before Star Trek aired its first season on NBC, CBS began airing their very own sci-fi series about a family of space colonists who struggle to survive in a strange and dangerous universe after their ship is flung off course. Lost in Space was one of the early pioneers of space exploration on TV, and the Robinson family, along with the robot B9 and the nefarious Dr. Smith, would go on to be in 83 episodes and 3 seasons between 1965 to 1968. Though the series didn't have the staying power that properties like Star Trek had, which has seen many spin-off shows and films spawn in its wake, Lost in Space hasn't been forgotten amongst the seemingly endless sea of sci-fi programming we're bombarded with in today's day and age. 30 years later, Lost in Space was adapted to film, and though critically panned, it gained a cult following in and of itself.
You'll be hard-pressed to forget this series' impact on science fiction after Netflix's latest crack at this classic IP, which is sure to gain a following all on its own. It's obvious from the start of the series that Netflix wants this to succeed, throwing as much money at the show as possible. And the outcome is a show that is as visually stunning as it is creative. From the very first episode, we're shown a contrast between Earth's dying civilization and the condition of the planet that civilization rests its fate upon. From wearing gas masks to go holiday shopping, apathy to atrocities in the news, and speaking of Earth's demise in a matter-of-fact way, all set the stage for this. It is explained in such a simple way through flashbacks that it leaves more room for character development and a deeper empathy for the less privileged characters who are so desperate to escape the end of the world. In most films, the end of the world is actually the focal point of the story, whereas for the Robinsons and others like them who have hope beyond this planet, it's just a sad thing that's happening to someone else, which should be more alarming to see than it actually is.
The world the Robinsons find themselves after the freak accident on their colony ship, the Resolute, is surprisingly Earth-like, and in many cases seems to be no more than regular Earth filtered through some serious color tint. But when the show does show off its budget, it really hits you with its sense of magnitude and wonder. There are moments where the planet that nobody ever bothers to name feels so uniquely alien and uninhabitable that it's easy to get lost in it, and the plight of the characters that are just trying to get off it. The special effects are incredible throughout the series. And besides those carefully edited close-up shots that seem to be very Earth-like, it's hard not to enjoy how artfully the world is crafted for the small screen. It feels massive and alarmingly cinematic at times, which is only heightened by the family drama playing out on screen. The Robinsons are a family of scientists, and through each of their own areas of expertise, they find ways to function and survive, despite being divided by their dysfunctional past on Earth. Something we wish we had learned more about throughout the show's 10 episodes, but we never truly got a grasp on. At the show's best, we get some truly excellent character moments that stretch each character to their limits, and the way they overcome obstacles makes for really engaging family entertainment. Though almost all the Robinsons have moments of unique character strength and depth, they alternatively prove incredibly stupid at times just to push the story forward a little bit, or to ignore certain things that will clearly become problematic later. The exception is Penny, who rarely has a strong character moment and is unrelentingly poorly written to be the comic relief character.
But her jokes never actually land.
None of them land.
And as far as the relationship between Will and the robot go, it's actually really comforting to see something so human, the childhood friendship, be displayed in such an outlandish setting. The familiarity and relatability of this plotline surpass its foreign setting, really just grounding the story. Will's development as a character is shown through the way he treats and understands his friend. The robot is able to touch our hearts without any facial expression or hardly any words, and sometimes he even seems more human than some of the desperate and depraved humans in the show. Also, whenever he utters that classic line, "Danger, Will Robinson," you can't help but smile.
Danger, Will Robinson.
There are many great moments and events that the story calls for, but so often does it seem as though the writers wish to gloss over the ramifications of certain big moments by not bringing them up again in the following episodes. There are a few times where an episode ends in a big decision or a cliffhanger, and the next episode sees some time has elapsed and there's no real mention of those issues at hand that would naturally be incredibly interesting social interactions or periods of self-reflection for the characters involved. Equally frustrating is the actual science that the show tries to show us. There are times where it feels like the show is on track to deliver a really cool exploration of science, and then something truly bizarre happens, is given no explanation, and then crisis is averted. Rinse and repeat several times, and yeah, the show's science is really weird. Not alien weird, but weird in the sense that the only sense it actually makes is to push the story forward. One of the more interesting choices that the 2018 Lost in Space Netflix series gave us was that Netflix chose to avoid the trap of replicating the masterful performance of Jonathan Harris's Dr. Smith from the original series. They cleverly chose a literal imposter to take his identity altogether.
She isn't actually even a doctor, and she really lucked out by finding a colony of, really intelligent idiots. Her character is frustratingly conniving, manipulative, and quick-witted. Without giving away too many details, get ready to really hate her. She is not the type of character that you're going to empathize with. She's easy to loathe, and you actually just want to see her penalized to the fullest extent of the law. The problem is that there aren't any laws in the New World yet. Maybe she's so easy to hate because we meet people like her in daily life, willing to say anything to bring about their own purpose and ready to throw anyone, even the people that they actually like, under the bus to save their own skin, all the while in self-denial that they're really the bad guy. She's the type of character that constantly defies the morals and principles that she sets out for herself.
It just becomes increasingly frustrating as the series continues how ignorant and, in general, stupid the rest of the cast can be around her as she, weaves her web of lies and gets more people involved, embroiled in her manipulation. Ugh. While her goal is the clever one, to be sure, even for her own unique abilities, it's the poor writing and negligence of those around her that make her actions possible in the first place. The series makes great use of its 10-episode format. There's so much time spent on great character development and avoiding certain death in the face of heavy threats on all fronts that when the show does offer you a light, fluffy moment where not a lot happens, it feels totally out of place. And while the tension is always incredibly high, the consequences are remarkably low. In fact, there's really only one circumstance I can think of where there are actual consequences to events that take place. That said, the final episode is a great end to the first season, leaving us with plenty to look forward to in a show that will undoubtedly succeed in receiving more seasons down the line.
Overall, this show is actually a very fun experience. It's family friendly, it's down to earth, and it's extremely beautiful to look at. I give it a 7 out of 10. At first I thought it was really cool, and then I kind of was like, but I think it's still worth checking out.
I say 7.2 for me. I really hope this gets more room to stretch its legs. I want to see where the family goes from here. I'm looking forward to a second season, definitely. If you want to check out more videos just like this, click the button down there to subscribe, and be sure to check out our full spoilers Lost in Space discussion video right over there. Thanks, guys. Oh, be sure to like. Have a good one.